What up, my man of society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Loke, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. I highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. Now, what I wanted to talk about here is, I was having a conversation with an individual, right? And he was talking about, like, how, people blame us Mexicans for the problems in America and all that. But he's like, look at all the people that commit all the heinous crimes in the world. They're all, white. You know what I mean? Like, look at all the shit that they do, you don't never see no Mexicans doing that. So, I find comments like that very, ignorant, you know what I mean? Because, that's not true, you know what I mean? And here's a perfect example right here. Andres Mendoza. Who is Andres Mendoza? For those who don't know, he is the epitome of evil. He is an individual, right, who stayed in Atizapan, Mexico, right? He was a serial killer. Well, he's a serial killer, right? Who's been arrested. I think he was arrested in 2016. So this is recent. As a matter of fact, they're still finding bodies, now till now. He's accused of killing 20 women in Mexico. Not only killing them, but chopping them up, eating them, and selling the meat to people in Mexico without them knowing. So, yeah, he was a twisted individual. Not only that, he will cut off the faces of his victims because he said they were very pretty. So he wanted to keep the faces. So kept the faces around. He'll literally peel off the faces with a knife, bro, and keep the faces of his victims. Not only that, he would record his crimes. He would videotape the crime as it's happening, and after it's dead and everything. They found, I think, more than 20 tapes, and each different tape had a different girl's name on it. He kept journals. He was a very sick and twisted individual. He was 72 years old when he was arrested, right? And the only reason he was arrested is because, like all serial killers, right, temptation ends up getting the best of them, right? Normally his victims were women that he met at the bars, right? He would, meet them at bars, invite them over to his house. And then when he would try to spit his game or, try to bag them, as his girl, they would turn him down. They would say that, they weren't interested in a relationship, and he would become enraged and kill them. But with his last victim and the victim that got him arrested, he actually knew this victim. They were actually friends. Not only were they friends, but her and her husband would help him financially wise, because this individual was a butcher, right? But sometimes, work was a little slow, so he really didn't have no money. He's old. People feel sorry for him, so they hooked him up with some feria. So they would help him financially wise, right? And so, her husband was a cop. So when she didn't come home and she told him that she was going to go meet him because he would also sell cell phone parts, and she ran a cell phone business, so she went to go buy some parts, right? She never came home. The cop got home, seen his daughters right there, like, hey, where's your mother? And went, to look for her, and then remembered that she went to go meet him. Went to the pad. The vato was acting weird and didn't want to let him inside the house, and homie became, suspicious. So he went back to, the police station, grabbed some of his, fellow police officers, went back, and after a brief struggle, they made their way inside the home. And inside the home, there was blood everywhere, bloody knives everywhere, bags full of body parts, the worst shit that you could think of, you know what I mean? And then when the cop, made his way into, the kitchen, on the table were, whatever was left of his wife, was still on the table. So this guy walks in and see his chopped up wife on the table. He walked in, he seen the belongings, like, by the living room, right? Seen her stuff, so it's like, well, okay, she's got to be here. Walks into the kitchen, sees her body chopped up on the table. So they open a little, he kind of had like a basement, and inside that basement were bags full of body parts, and body parts everywhere. There was bones everywhere, and he had tables, and on the tables there was still body parts on those tables. Some new, some old. Now the area used to smell, right? But since the guy was a butcher, people didn't think nothing of it. Oh, he's a carnicero, so it's gonna smell like rotten meat sometimes with the wool, right? And he belonged to, like, he was a good Samaritan, right? Everyone thought he was a good guy, right? Because he would, be a part of, these movements, and he was a part of the community, right? But they said that he did have a drinking problem. So when he was drunk, he would become a pervert, and he would harass the little girls that were in the villages, and they seen him as a weird old pervert, right? But since when he was sober, he was a good, he was right there doing for the community and stuff like that. People didn't suspect nothing, including the cop. When the cop first went over there, he didn't even suspect this fool. It wasn't until this fool didn't let him inside the house that he was like, hey, what's up with this guy, man? Then he became suspicious, but no one suspected him. And he probably would have kept on doing it if he didn't kill somebody he actually knew. But since he was attracted to her, he thought she was so pretty, whatever. His temptation got the best of him, and he went into the rage that he normally gets when he gets rejected, and he kills him, right? Now, psychologists say that, he's a very disturbed individual, a psychopath, right? Who has a very strong hatred towards women, right? This individual claims that women, take advantage of people and mistreat him. They have always mistreated him and, made fun of him. And, well, he was 72. He wasn't married. So apparently, I guess it was really hard for him to, to make spit game. I guess he wasn't good at it, bro. So, that probably was the fuel for his temper, right? And probably the reason of why he started killing, along with other things, had to play factors, right? His relationship with his mother was, well, from what has been said, was not good at all, right? She was very cruel to him, very mean to him, right? She would, belittle him, abuse him. So, being mistreated by, your mother, so many years, I could see why he had this strong hatred towards women and why he became the nut job that he became, right? He also said he was inspired by the movie Silence of the Lamb. Now, he said his first killing was in 2017. But as everybody knows, serial killers don't start killing already in their later years. They don't wake up one day at the age of 50 and decide to kill. No, they have been doing it already for a while. You know what I mean? They just hadn't gotten caught. Because, these disturbing urges and thoughts that these individuals have, they can't control them. They can't control their urges. They can't control their thoughts. They can't control that emotion, right? So, we understand that there's, they started killing since the, earlier years, right? They just have to make the connections and, which missing person belongs to this individual, because there's been so many unsolved murders and unsolved, disappearance and bodies that are out there that, it's crazy, right? So just, making the connections, right? I mean, there's serial killers that have passed away right now that they're still finding victims of theirs through DNA, right? They had confessed to, like, let's say 30 people, and then they ended up finding like 10 more bodies after his death, right? Showing they're not going to give you everything, right? Because they're still going to want to play that control game where they still have something and they want to feel in power, right? Like they have something over you. And it's one of the reasons why they don't mind getting executed, right? Because they're still taking something, it's like checkmate. I'm still going with the information that I know, right? So you guys are still not going to get what you guys want out of me. You know what I mean? It's a ego stroke of theirs. That's why they're never going to give you everything. It's up to, forensics and detectives to piece it together. Yes, but he was a sick individual. Like I said, they're still finding body parts till now, right? They're still finding bodies now, right? The count is up to 20. It started with 4, then it went to 5, and then 10, and then 10 to 17, and now we're at 20. So, I mean, who really knows, right? So, he was eating the people, cutting their faces off, feeding them to people in the village. This guy was the epitome of evil, bro. He was a fucking... And this was recent, as of recently, right? And in Mexico, like I said, serial killers exist in all ethnicities, in all countries. Disturbing individuals exist everywhere, right? Because there's something that makes these individuals this way, that exists within all the cultures, in all the ethnicities. So you can't just blame a certain ethnicity or a certain country, because these motherfuckers exist everywhere. There's serial killers everywhere from every ethnicity who have done the most heinous and sickening things that you guys couldn't even be able to fathom. You guys could go look this up. There's disturbing images out there. There's disturbing footage. It's not for the weak-minded, bro. But if you want to go, because Mexico don't give a fuck, dog. They'll throw everything out there. Some of the shit that they put out there is like, damn, bro, you probably shouldn't be releasing that to the audience. You know what I mean? Hey, but it is what it is, bro. I mean, this guy was very disturbing, bro, and He lived at home with body parts everywhere, bro. Like it was like a house of horrors, bro. You know, kind of like some fucking, I don't know, like what's that guy like John Gacy, or Jeffrey Dahmer, or or you know what's that guy Edie or Eddie or something like that, right? But like I said, some of the worst individuals, oh, Fish too, Albert Fish. We're talking about some sick individuals here. Evil does exist, monsters do exist, but they don't look like red horns and tails and could float. They look just like us because they are us, right? Because when individuals are, you know, put in certain situations, mistreated and cruel, you could breed a monster. That's why it's important to be a parent. Just saying, Shadow, we out.